Hello and welcome. American Lee Falk, creator of comic strip characters Mandrake the Master Magician and the Phantom, was an extraordinary talent, not only as a writer and artist of comic books, but as a theatre director and producer, movie screenwriter, cartoonist and author. Lee came up with Mandrake in 1934, thus creating what is considered the world's first comic strip superhero. At the peak of their global popularity, more than 100 million readers followed the adventures of Mandrake and, separately, the Phantom in daily newspapers and magazines. In 1939, Columbia Pictures produced a black and white 12-episode cinema serial, and in 1954, a Mandrake movie starring Norton and Woody Strode was made. Then, of course, there were many animated TV versions of Mandrake's adventures, including Defenders of the Earth. But in the 1980s, Lee came to the Cannes Film Festival for meetings with movie producers to secure funding and production backing for a big-screen special effects movie about Mandrake. I sat down with Lee and asked him about the origin of the Mandrake character, the type of actor he would like to see play the role, and heard about comedian Lenny Bruce's interest in the character.
Beware this man if you deal in evil, for here comes Mandrake, Mandrake the Magician.
Lee Falk, after all these years, how do you feel about your marvellous comic strip character Mandrake being brought to the big screen?
I'm very delighted to have it come to the big screen.
Are you surprised that now, after so many years, that it's going to be done in such a fairly big way?
Well, I'm delighted because this might sound presumptuous, but I've been talking about this with our director, Julian Temple, who you'll talk to in a moment, and we feel that the industry has finally caught up with Mandrake and we're able to do it the way it should be done, because special effects, even in the last 5 years, have improved so much in the film techniques, and now we feel that Mandrake can be done properly, the illusions can be done in a way they couldn't have been done 5 or 10 years ago.
I can remember reading the comic strip from being a very small boy, and it always fascinated me. How did you get the idea for the character? Where did he come from?
Mandrake? Well, I started this when I was 19, so that what I knew about was just what I'd known in school and the things I'd seen as a boy. And as a child, I was interested in magicians. I was interested in adventurers, from Marco Polo on. And I was interested in the great detectives like Samuel Penn and Sherlock Holmes. So Mandrake is a combination of all these things.
But why a magician and a hypnotist at that?
He became a hypnotist. Originally, in the first few months of the original Mandrake, he was a real magician who, when he gestured at a ceiling, it really crashed. I decided this wouldn't last very long, so I changed it to a hypnotist. So he is a hypnotist, and to make him more believable and realistic. So what he does, actually, a man can really do these things. Maybe not quite as skillfully as Mandrake, but we've all seen hypnotists at work, and we've seen instant hypnosis and so forth.
With the characters that grew, one of the lines that I always loved was the one that would be along either the bottom of the strip or the top, where it said, Mandrake gestures hypnotically. Where did you get the idea for him actually gesturing and putting his hand out the way he does?
Well, it's just a visual image of showing him doing something. The gesture hypnotically is always interested. Do you know the late comedian Lenny Bruce?
Yes, I do.
He was fascinated with that gesture hypnotic. He said, Lee, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I don't know. He does gestures and hypnotizes at the same time. So in the comic strip, we're limited in the amount of words we can put in. So I said gestures hypnotically. It cuts it right down to a minimum.
Just a suggestion of an idea.
Yes.
But it's caught on right around the world, of course. You were telling me earlier that you've had the response from Australia and New Zealand over the years to the comic strip.
Yes. Well, I think the Mandrake has been running in the Women's Weekly for many, many years, and there's been a lot of response from fan letters and so forth. I've had radio interviews, long distance from New York to Australia, and that sort of thing.
Now, you're obviously going to be closely involved with the making of this film. I know that the title role hasn't been cast yet, but what kind of an actor do you envisage, or would you hope to play the role?
Somebody that looks like Mandrake, for one. He should be an actor with either a star or an actor with star quality. He should be attractive and magnetic and have some wit and charm about him.
So I guess then he's got to be sort of dark-haired, and is the moustache particularly important?
Well, yes, he should look like, without the moustache he wouldn't look like Mandrake.
Why did he have a moustache?
good question. I guess that's because he had a mustache, that's all.
But you created him. I was just wondering why you put in a mustache. I mean, he had a mustache.
I had a mustache. I started this at 19. When I was 17, I grew a mustache for the first time. And the reason I grew it was so I look older. You see, at 17. So I guess I still have a mustache, and people say, why do you have a mustache? And I say, well, at 17, I wanted to look older, and so that's the reason I still do it.
And with the film itself, I know it's some way off from being shot, but what kind of special effects are you hoping to see in the film?
I don't want to give away these things, but they're amazing and marvelous. It's going to be a wonderland, and our director can tell you more about that, but there can be gigantic effects, because as I said, the industry, the technique of special effects has finally caught up with what we've been doing and what I've been doing in the comic strip for many years. It's cheaper to do in the comic strip.
Yes, it certainly is.
Yes.
Lee Falk, thank you very much, and we wish you all the very best.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Unfortunately, as is too often the case in Hollywood, the Mandrake script failed to get sufficient backing and was never produced. Personally, with the special effects available today, I'd love to see an updated big screen movie featuring Mandrake. But back then, Lee continued to push for movie deals, but nothing eventuated. He died in 1999 at the age of 87. And by the way, you can check out some of the serial episodes and animated series here on YouTube.